Greetings one and all to another Dark Rider pony analysis. I am the Nightmare Rider, Major Mind, reminding you as always that even a cheeseburger can be deconstructed to its original source. Pinkie Apple Pie is one of the most anticipated episodes of Season 4, being one of the episodes that BronyCon got a preview clip treated to. While the song Apples to the Core is the centerpiece of the episode, no doubt, much like the Smile song in A Friend Indeed, it is important not to forget to analyse the merits of the episode as a whole and not just on one single factor. The episode is an introduction to another new writer, Natasha Livinger, as well as focusing on two of the main six who so far have not had an episode sharing the focus on, Pinkie Pie and Applejack. These two ponies seem almost completely opposite to one another when it comes to the core character traits. Pinkie Pie is the hyperactive and values fun and parties over much personal responsibility, while Applejack is down to earth with a mindset firmly focused on said personal responsibilities, taking enjoyment from the benefits it brings to her and her family. You would initially suspect that this would be a big clash of personalities that would lead to tension between them throughout the episode, but they actually both relate in more ways than may be obvious. Before I go into more depth on this, we need to properly establish how well Pinkie Pie is being written in this episode. Sticking to Season 4 exclusively, we have seen Rarity Takes Manhattan and Daring Dote showing that while Pinkie Pie can be very over-enthusiastic, she isn't completely insensitive to the other ponies' feelings. She can be serious and even thought-provoking when she needs to be, all while maintaining a very bouncy exterior. Honestly, this is one of the best episodes to show that fact. The episode opens with Pinkie getting the jump on Twilight while she is researching pony genealogy, which she immediately takes interest to once she actually learns what it means to begin with. We know that Pinkie Pie was never particularly happy with her own family prior to the Sonic Rain boom in Cutie Mark Chronicles, but it is never explicitly stated what her relation to them is now. This does leave one important unanswered question throughout the episode though. Why is Pinkie so committed to being part of the Apple family? We are never really given a clear reason, so I do feel that they could have perhaps at least used a flashback at the beginning of the episode to give some basic for Pinkie's excitement. Even if it's just suggested through references through one of her lines, having it acknowledged would have given her a more solid foundation in her character and less ambiguity as to if her character is consistent throughout the episode. Pinkie's emotions are on clear display, yet it feels like a big oversight to never address the elephant in the room. Upon looking into the Apple family line, the smudge line at the bottom of a long page leads her to believe that with shining enthusiasm that she is Applejack's second cousin twice removed. If there is one thing this episode needed to get right, it is the dynamic between the Apple family. If we are going to justify their happiness and even the possibility of Pinkie Pie being one of them, we need to rely on the closeness and love for one another in action. One of the reasons Apple Family Reunion is considered a disappointing episode is because we got so little new information on who the Apple family are and why they are so close to one another. It was all focused on Applejack being too focused on getting all the activities picture perfect, so there was little actual relations to be had in the whole episode. Now we have just Pinkie and the central core of the Apple family to work with. The episode works hard to display exactly that. I especially love how Granny Smith is portrayed here, being somewhat stubborn, but still wise and intelligent as opposed to senile. This is a subtle bit of continuity from Family Appreciation Day that I'm really happy they retained, and a good way to do continuity without really shoving it in your face, as some previous episodes have done. Big Mac also gets some subtle character expansions at various points in the episode, particularly when he takes after Rarity and his tendency to overpack to the extreme. As previously stated, all of the Apples are more than ready to accept Pinkie Pie into their ranks, although Applejack wants to get a more definitive answer instead of just speculation. So they organise a road trip to another relative, Goldie Delicious, who holds a more complete genealogy record. This is where we establish the conflict for the episode. Applejack wants the family to be in their best behaviour so that they can show the more positive aspect of the Apple family to Pinkie Pie. This is to make sure that Pinkie will be proud of being part of the Apple family, as opposed to thinking, what the hell did I just get myself into? It is important to note that she isn't being deceptive and dishonest about trying to give a shining example of her family, rather than presenting it as dysfunctional, warts and all. It wouldn't be realistic to expect Applejack to be 100% honest all of the time. All fiction needs to have some resemblance of believability, so considering that Applejack takes such great pride in her family and knows it to be an amazing amazing thing, it makes sense she'd want to try and emphasise this to a newcomer. Now we get to the centrepiece of this episode, the song Apples to the Core. I'll be honest guys, it's a song that turned this episode from a good one into a great one. While the music is indeed amazing with full banjo-driven country melodies, what's contained in the song is most important thing. It's all the qualities that the Apple family embody and what they are most proud of. Their unity, their persistence, and most of all, their love for one another will keep them together through whatever life throws at them. Even better, we get to hear from the personal perspective of everyone, save for Big Mac, as to what quality of their family makes it most important to them. My favourite line is from Granny Smith with the line, "Whatever cliche you can throw at me," giving a twinge of self-awareness to the cheesiness of the song. Pinkie Pie's lines are equally awesome, describing how much she is having fun with all of them, enjoying every minute of their adventure as the road goes on. The laws of physics hold no power when Pinkie Pie wants to have fun. This is where Applejack and Pinkie Pie click together. This is what makes it believable that they are family, that they have the same amount of passion to their friends and just as much love for being around one another. Big Mac's horde comes back to bite them in the flank, which leads to one of many moments where Pinkie's maturity shines through her enthusiasm. She encourages Granny Smith to use her knowledge to reconstruct the collapsed cart into a raft. The fact that she somehow got a camera to take pictures of her scrapbook is extra funny, but the line right after that she creates the time to make this is a second big piece of being part of a family that she really understands. She has her priorities on saving every single moment that she will have with the new family, making time to record the moments that build a loving bond. Conversely, this is the start of Applejack's attempt to suppress any arguments, something Pinkie doesn't initially see through. Apple Bloom is the next to show her character flaws, but the dance she did I thought was pretty dumb even for her. Yeah, she's a kid and clearly can rush into things without thinking, but throwing the map around until she loses it sure be pretty obvious as to how it's a bad idea. Once Granny Smith gets into an argument with Applejack about how their route through potentially the scariest cave in Equestria, the episode probably starts to show the humour that it's largely focused on. There are a lot of well-timed situational gags, with the best being when we hear Pinkie's gleeful laughter through the scariest cave while the rest of the Apple family are screaming their heads off. This works so well because it's just one tracking shot of the outside hill, leaving us to fill in the hilarious blanks and our imaginations as to exactly what was inside. My favourite headcanon? The G3 ponies. However, one of the primary problems I had with this episode was that a lot of this humour came off as very cliché and predictable. Clichés aren't always a bad thing if they are used in a fresh and inventive way. Some clichés are even excusable because they are necessary for character progression, such as Applejack's increasingly futile attempts to prevent her family bickering. But this episode really doesn't actually do any of them differently. As soon as they got onto the raft, I knew that it was going to be a waterfall scene. I knew that Granny Smith was going to lead them in the wrong direction. I knew the raft was going to fall apart. It was so paint by numbers that it actually made a good comedy less enjoyable as a whole. I know it's a new writer here, but unlike Josh Hebert in Castlemania, it didn't feel like it was putting the cliches in a new setting or making an exaggerated tribute. It was just straight up mirroring these cliches. When they finally get to Goldie Delicious's house, Pinkie finds the note saying the pony they are after is currently away. When she leaves to gather more supplies, the Apple family finally confess their flaws to one another, accepting that they really can't maintain perfection and that they are fine and Pinkie doesn't want to be one of them. When Pinkie returns, however, she delivers the episode's moral, which fits in everything she's done so far. She says that it doesn't matter that the Apple family aren't perfect, they still stuck to one another when it mattered most and admitted their flaws in the end. Much like with Rarity Takes Manhattan, this episode uses an emotional journey full of highs and lows to show that no family can possibly be perfect. As Pinkie says, a family doesn't need to be perfect to love one another, which is exactly what they establish through the song. Through thick and thin, they are still family and they still love each other, warts and all. When Goldie Delicious does return, showing herself to be a horny and crazy cat pony, there are a few subtle hints that suggests Pinkie may very well be related, including her Jenga skills and poofy hair. However, the record she has is still ambiguous, which leaves Pinkie understandably disappointed. She continues to show her maturity through how she handles it though, expressing her disappointment while still appreciating everything that the Apple family has done on her behalf. This is when Applejack Applejack states that even if they can't be sure she is blood related, she will still consider Pinkie a member of the Apple family since she has displayed the same unbreakable bond, dedication that every existing family member of the Apple family has done. This is another fantastic secondary moral, since family isn't defined simply by blood ties. It's the actions and motions and attitude that you have to maintaining a family relationship that makes a family at the end of the day. This episode ends with a family photo, reprisal of apples to the core, and another argument over who gets to write in the journal, which Pinkie is all too happy to join in with. Now for my final thoughts on the episode. Pinkie Apple Pie is another very entertaining episode. While it doesn't reach the wacky highs of Castlemania due to its generic middle half, it's still funny where it needs to be, using plenty of situational humour and running gags to get a good laugh, all without neglecting the emotional development that characters really need to make the story complete. Pinkie herself does seem to push her reputation of being thoughtless in more than one recent episodes a bit far on occasion, but for the most part, she is still the subtly mature, fun lover that we have come to all know and love from episode 1. Apples to the Core is probably the best song of season 4 thus far, if not the entire show, since it does so much to display the passion the Apple family have for each other, on top of Pinkie's delight to be one of them. I give Pinkie Apple Pie a final grade of a B+. In addition, I'm putting this on my list of must-see episodes for any brony who is just finding their way into the fandom. This is a priority viewing. Until the next review, this is the Nightmare Rider, Major Mind, riding out.